Tut tut team cycle. Look at that shadow. Shocking. My OCD is OCDing right now. We're in the, I say new, I've been here a while. But we had a little bit of a clear out. I've got a rotating whiteboard. I would rotate it, but there's classified information on the back there in the form of the TM Cycles Content Creator Academy. You can learn how to create Instagram Reels and YouTube vlogs like TM Cycles. Apparently it's really good. But right now I've got a whiteboard pressed up against a ladder to stop the sunlight. I've got a light there. I need a light there to stop the shadow. Bit of mood lighting, bit of background lighting, and we're good to go. We've got to start somewhere, folks, all right? So try to ignore the variation in light that you may see in this video. I'm usually quite perfect with my aesthetics, but right now it's setting me off a little bit. But it's educational today, in the form of a horizontal and vertical training split. By far, my favorite training split to date. Been training, what, gosh, 12 to 14 years now. Been in many different phases, many different blocks, but this is by far my favorite because it's allowing me to incorporate a lot more work on the track, on the road, cycling, swimming, and we'll discuss performance in a second. But the reason why it's so good is that it covers all bases, okay? If you're looking to go into a gaining phase, most certainly you can incorporate this. If you're looking to go into a fat loss phase, you can most certainly incorporate this as well. And also if you're looking to optimize your disciplines like your run, your cycle, your swim, then most certainly this style training split works. Obviously, volume will dictate these phases here. So if you are looking to incorporate this in a gaining phase, and we know from the literature that the bare minimum volume per body part in terms of sets per week is around about 10. If you've notoriously trained that for some time and you're going to a gaining phase, you may want to up it to maybe 10 to 15 sets as an example. But drive a little bit more volume if you're in a gaining phase, hold around 8 to 10 sets per body part per week for a cut. And then performance. This is when a coach comes in handy. Hello, I am a coach. But you may want to incorporate a reduction in volume or even potentially go down the route of some RIR work and predominantly focus on strength progressions within that, especially if your volume for running, swimming and cycling is quite high, okay? But right now this is a perfect split for me. It's also allowed me to get a little bit more arm volume in as well. I like training my arms, you know? Quite have big arms when you're trying to go for that Nathan French physique. That's the goal, ladies and gents. What we'll do now is we'll dissect what horizontal and vertical push and pull-in movements are. And you can see by my fantastic artwork here, we have a chest. So horizontal push, horizon, you're flat, you're chest pressing. Try and remember it like that, okay? Vertical pressing, vertical pushing, you're in that upright position. So it's all delts, baby. All OHP, all lateral raises, okay? So horizontal pushing, you've got some fly variations, dumbbell, machine, cuff, pec deck, and then you've got some pressing work in there as well. Now, in terms of angles of pressing, again, there may be a little bit of an overlap because with your Smith machine, based on how your form is and based on the angle at which you're pressing, there may be a little bit of clavicular stimulus in there as well. So you may think, well, I'm doing a lot of pressing movements. Do I need to focus a lot on incline on this? Can I do more costal sternal? Absolutely. We'll come on to that when we do discuss the plan. With your vertical pushing movements, OHP, dumbbell, barbell, machine, Smith machine, and then your laterals, dumbbell, machine, cuffed, crucifixes, whatever it is, whatever your preference is. Then when we come on to horizontal pull-in and vertical pull-in, we tend to reduce volume a little bit in those sessions because you're essentially targeting your back twice. The way in which this runs is almost like chest and triceps, delts and triceps, and then you've got your back and biceps 2 sessions. So you can, in theory, pull volume down a little bit. I most certainly have with my horizontal pull-in and my vertical pull-in. This is where the confusion sits in a little bit because you're thinking horizontal, I'm supposed to be lying flat. How am I doing that? If I'm rowing, I'm in a vertical upright position. Horizontal pull-in is, we say, rowing. And we tend to target slightly more upper back musculature on here. You'll see I've got pull up twice. The reason why there is that overlap is that based on sternal angle, as an example, we could do like a lat bias pull up or pull down with a slightly more upright position, or we could have that sternal angle where we lean back a little bit. I've got plenty of clients that don't have a lot of kit in their gyms and we get them to do kind of a lean back, lat pull down and target that upper back musculature. Caveat that with the fact that we've been so fixated in the industry of targeting teeny outer head muscle here. We've become super focused on that. When you are doing certain movements, there's going to be an occasion whereby the muscles around that are also going to be stimulated. So if you're doing like a rowing movement that's been programmed by your coach that's like lat bias, and like, oh, I feel it a little bit in my rear delt or like round about hip, it's okay. Don't freak out, don't stress too much. Okay, obviously form plays into that massively, but there are going to be occasions when you're targeting certain areas like the back whereby there's going to be a little bit of stimulus in other areas apart from the main chunk of muscle that we're looking to target. Okay, horizontal pull-ups again. We've got row movements, dumbbell, barbell, machine, based on the sort of kit that you've got in your gym. When it comes down to vertical pulling movements in that upright position, it's pretty much lat bias. So like single arm lat work, pullovers as well. Nice to get that in at the start of your session. Pull up, pull down, ISO half knee machine, whatever it is in terms of your pull down variations that you enjoy, you get it in there. Let's talk about legs. Now, for me right now, as I've said before, I don't need to mess myself up in the gym. I don't need to try and incorporate the same sort of leg training style as I did back in the day when I was a bodybuilder. I've tried to spin too many plates at once, especially when I went into my high rocks prep. I tried to be the bodybuilder and also the high rocks competitor. It didn't really work. So for me right now, I'm looking at building strength in my legs, which contributes and benefits running massively, okay? The way in which I'd program your quads and your glutes and hams is essentially add quad movements onto your two push. You know, you're pushing away, leg press, you're pushing, you're squatting, you're kind of pushing away. So I'd say incorporate a leg press, a squat pattern, a hinge and a thrust. Cover all bases. If you are in a gaining phase and you want to increase more volume, then what you'd essentially do is potentially on your quad days where you're adding in a leg press, you might want to add in a leg extension as well. Same for your glute ham. On your hinge day, your thrust day, you could add in a stand-in leg curl, you could add a seat-in, lion as an example. That's if you want to drive more volume into target that gain phase, that physique development phase that you're in. Okay, so quads, I'll tag on to my two push, glute ham, I'll tag on to my two pull. I hope that makes sense. Now let's give you a free training program. If you're still confused, you don't have to set it up, then we'll run through that right now. Apologies if you can't see the reps and sets, we'll run through those. But 1, 2, 3, 4. First session of the week, vertical push plus a leg press. Exercise number 1, cuffed lat raise, 2 sets, 10 to 14, followed by a Smith press. I always like some form of lateral work before a press. I think it warms up the shoulders nicely. It kind of psychologically gets you into that position of like, right, I've got a heavy press coming up right now. So cuff lat, 2, 10 to 14, Smith press, 3 sets, 6 to 8, then a half knee press. Really enjoying that half knee dumbbell press at the moment. Kind of engages the core nicely. Good for any conditioning work that you're doing as well. Could do like a half knee landmine press as an example. And then into a machine lat raise at a 4x6. A 4x6 is a really nice intensifier. Allows you to keep that intensity nice and high whilst driving that volume. A 4x6 is essentially 4 sets, 6 reps, with only about 10 to 15 seconds rest in between those. So what it isn't is 4 sets of 6 reps. I'll do my 6, couple of minutes rest. It's not, it's an intensifier, okay? Nice way to dust off the delts. And then we go into our leg press. Up to you. You may want to do your triceps after your shoulders. Where I'm pressing, maybe my triceps are a little fatigued. I like having that kind of in between those two, leg press and then into some tricep. But if you are someone, and a lot of people do struggle with arm training because they drop off at the end of the session, then maybe get it in earlier. But leg press, 3 sets, 6 to 8. Then I've got my 2 tricep exercises. Keep things nice and simple when you're doing triceps. Upright position, overhead position. So I've got here like a push down, like a V-bar push down, and then an overhead tricep extension. 3 sets, 10 to 14, 3 sets, 6 to 8. Second session of the week is a vertical pull plus a hinge. So we open up with a pullover, 2 sets, 10 to 14. Into a pull-up, I'm really liking the weighted pull-ups at the moment, slightly lower reps on that, so 2 sets, 6 to 8, and then just a neutral grip pull down. So what I do is I loop the 2 D handles, 1MR, best kit in the game, 1MR.shop for all of your cuffs, D handles, Mr. Josh Bridgman's brand. But I'll loop them around an EZ bar because where the kind of spaces are on the EZ bar is pretty much where most people's kind of natural width is for their shoulders. So like a really nice movement there. Neutral grip, pull down, 2 sets, 8 to 10, and then I go into my hinge, my RDL. 3 sets, 6 to 8, and then I finish with a preacher and then some dumbbell hammers. Got the old forearms big, you know. Good arms look big from front on. Not that I have that problem. My wingspan is longer than my height. My brother's wingspan, my God, freak. He'll be on the channel soon. So that's the first 2 sessions of the week. What we'll do is in a future video, come onto my actual split. We're gonna do a full week in the life full week of training so you can understand where I'm placing my runs, my swims and my cycles. But that's the first 2 sessions done. You could do that on a Monday and Tuesday, maybe have Wednesday and Thursday off and train Friday and Saturday and then have Sunday off as well. But on those Wednesdays and Thursdays off, you may want to incorporate some cardio, some abs, some calves, whatever it is. 2 sessions. I've not lost it. Session 3, horizontal push and a squat. So open up here with a costal fly. As we mentioned about kind of the clavicular stimulus that we may be getting from our shoulder pressing, I'd go costal sternal pressing here. So costal fly, 2 sets, 8 to 10. Then an incline machine press. Enjoying this. Falling in love with it again. Hammer strength incline machine press. I use, if you don't have that piece of kit, incline dumbbell, incline Smith, incline barbell. 3 sets, 6 to 8. And then a flat Smith machine press, 3 sets, 10 to 12. Okay. Then onto my quads. Here I've got a heel elevated Smith machine squat. I love squatting in the Smith machine. The fact that I'm locked in, it's a really nice movement for me. I'm not a huge fan, or personally a huge fan of a barbell back squat. Some people absolutely love it. They love that sort of freedom. But for me, I like that fixed position that I'm in. Heel elevation to, again, bias those quads a little bit more. My ankle mobility is pretty strong anyway. I don't really need them. I could just use my lifting shoes, but I like a heel elevation. 3 sets, 8 to 10. And then we've got some dual rope tricep extensions, 3 sets, 10 to 14. And then some EZ cable skull crushers at 3 sets, 6 to 8. That's our third session. And then our final session for the week, we've got a horizontal pull, and then we have a thrust as well. At the moment, I'm using a chest supported T-bar row, 3 sets, 6 to 8. If you don't have that particular piece of kit, you could get a little bit tricky and then do the old like bench on a slight incline in a Smith machine, and there you have your stability. If you're okay with that, then maybe like a real bent over pendlay row as an example, or even a barbell bent over row. I've then got a low row machine, the hammer strength one, 2 sets, 10 to 14. And then I go into my Smith machine hip thrust. We do have a glute machine at MuscleWorks, but I just prefer thrusting on a Smith machine. 3 sets, 10 to 12. And then for my biceps, we've got a little behind the back curl. The only downside to MuscleWorks, which is a fantastic gym, I highly recommend anyone in the Bromley Orpington area get down that gym. If you're more over kind of Bexley way, then most certainly Crayford. But we don't have a close cable stack. However, the way in which I get around that is at MuscleWorks, there's 2 wide cable stacks, but that means that one meets in the middle. So if you have this issue as well, then where the 2 cable stacks meet in the middle, you can essentially bring your D handles out behind you and then go into a curl like so. Just a nice little way around it. So we've got a behind the back curl, and then again, get the old forearms involved. 3 sets, 6 to 8 with a rope hammer. So that is pretty much the structure of how I would set up a horizontal vertical. When it comes down to calves, again, you could only do really 1 calf movement in all of these sessions, and then you can accumulate 3, 6, 9, 12 sets for your calves, and that goes for your core as well. If you didn't want to do a abs and cardio day as an example, you could do 4 ab movements on each of these days. You could do session 1, kneel-in, cable rope crunch, session 2, a lion crunch, session 3, an ab crunch machine. Most gyms have got an ab crunch machine. And then you could do session 4, some knee raises, hanging knee raises, and maybe get the obliques working as well, dumbbell side bend, or like a cable wood chop as an example. So that's why I really like it, because it pulls back on the amount of exercises that you're having to do and allows you to target them with quite high volume across the week. So I hope that makes sense, ladies and gents. We've covered what makes up the vertical horizontal, the program, incorporation of other movements if you're looking to gain, cut, perform. Any questions at all, hit the comment section below. Appreciate that's a lot of information to take in on a Friday night. Sorry. That's all from me. I'll see you very soon. Up the Arsenal. Thank you, good night, and much love. Wallop.